Hello and welcome to the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 20, part 2? Sure. It is the Final Fantasy VII Remake spoiler talk with James St. Charles and myself, Jake Burke. We're going to dive into it because you and I have not talked about the story together at all. We are going to spoil everything in the story and even stuff from the original Final Fantasy VII that I've researched a lot on now because I've been obsessed with it. So let's just jump right into it. James, I got to talk to you because they basically lied to us about the title of this game. This game is not the remake of Final Fantasy VII.
No,
this game is
definitely not.
Final Fantasy VII : Remake because they remade the goddamn timeline of this game, and we are now getting an entirely new Final Fantasy VII timeline.
That's what all the theories are, and I think it was confirmed by the director. Yeah. So it was, and then like how certain elements played out. Yeah. Some people weren't too happy, but
whatever.
To them, why would you want to play the same thing you already played?
So
yeah.
I want to jump into the end of the game before, because I want to see if you've researched stuff like I did. Did you at all when this game ended?
I did a little bit. I looked at like one explanation of the ending.
So I think it was kind of fun. I do wish that I played Final Fantasy VII before starting this game, but I did not know that the Whispers were not part of the original Final Fantasy VII.
I didn't know that either. I was like, oh man. Yeah, how did they do this in the original? I was like trying to think about it.
So obviously, as they've now kind of explained, the Whispers are directing the timeline. And they are the manifestation of fate and destiny. And they are making sure that the game plays out exactly like Final Fantasy VII played out.
Which is pretty funny.
Really, really cool. Obviously, when Barrett gets stabbed, which is not in the original game, they bring him back to life because he's not supposed to die. Yeah. And Sephiroth is like the anomaly to this, to like everything. But then you go and you fight fate at the end. And you beat fate or destiny and you shatter it.
That fight was amazing.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, what did you think of that fight?
The elements of it. Probably one of the best fights of the game. I just like how like it was like phases and like how you were like you basically like fighting like 3v1 or not through like 3v3, but you could target like which ones. And that was like, I don't think, was that the first time you really had like 3 like pure enemies in the whole game?
What do you mean?
Probably. Like usually you fight like one enemy and then they'll have like little like minions. And this was like 3, technically 4, because it's big giant guy in the sky, big giant fate monster in the sky. And you fought 3 of his minions, which had like certain, like one used fire and like wind. Like they had different attributes, which is like a main thing of this game. Like a lot of attribute bosses, which is great. And that fight was kind of interesting because at one point they like merge and become a monster, and then
and then you like easily beat that monster.
I unleashed in that fight. I like went off, and it was so fulfilling. Like you spent all this time like getting all this stuff, getting all this synergy, and you go off, and that was pretty interesting. Like where it's like you defeat it, and then you get into the fight.
Yeah, and then you fight Sephiroth,
the main fight, which people weren't happy. I was like, oh, why are you fighting Sephiroth? The original. I was like,
because you broke the timeline.
What else would you do in this game? This is like this is a part 1. It's like, nope, boom, next game.
But I love that. No, the next one probably won't be called Remake Part 2. It will be called something else.
Yeah, it'll do like what the other games like Crisis Core. Like it'll be called something like Final Fantasy VII.
Blah blah blah.
Boom, title. Yeah.
Which was really cool. And obviously,
what'd you think about the Sephiroth fight?
I really liked it. I thought it was pretty hype, like how they kind of interacted with all the different characters.
I thought it was gonna be a lot harder, so it wasn't as hard. Like I felt like the fight with the vice president, President Shimura's son, was harder because it was like a 1v1. That dude was annoying, but it had more emotion. The song, One Winged Angel, one of the most staple songs of Final Fantasy VII, it was redone perfectly, and it had elements of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, which was like a movie, and that had that soundtrack, like how the orchestra should have been, and how like the original composer wanted it to be. And this, it was like just so great. That fight was epic. But you're right, like it wasn't too hard. But
you know when you're fighting the like manifestation of fate, when all the characters are getting like flashes in their head.
Yes, of like events.
And you know when Red 13 is running by himself, like in the dust, like on the sand, and everyone goes, "What is that?" And he goes, "That's what happens if we lose today." Do you know what that is? That is the original ending of Final Fantasy VII.
Really?
You lose in Final Fantasy VII. A meteor hits the planet and kills everything.
Oh, okay. I do. Yeah, I didn't know that fight.
And
I watched that fight.
So then, like, the game ends with Red 13 and a bunch of other dog things running on like that same thing. So when he shows that, and I didn't know this till after, but he goes, "That's what happens if we lose." It's like when you win, it's like, oh, we broke that reality that already had happened.
Is Red 13 in the original game? As like how he is like now?
Yeah. Okay, and he's like, I think you can play as him and stuff. Like, my guess is in the part 2 that he will be a playable character.
I wish we could have played as him because he had like a lot of cool moves.
Yeah, that was the only thing I was kind of surprised that
he was pure AI.
He didn't become like a part of your party for the last 2 chapters.
I guess it makes sense because like your party, the way the system works is it is a 3 system. Yeah. And then to incorporate them in a 3 slot, which they could have, you have to like add items and materia, and so maybe at that point it's like, oh, that would have been.
Which I didn't know that you were never going to be able to choose your party in this game. I thought like eventually I was going to have all 4 of them and be like, okay, I get to choose like who's coming on these missions.
That's what I thought. Yeah, like
I loved how like the story progressed and it constantly forced you to like switch, especially by like the last 2 chapters when you're in the Shinra building all the way through. Of like, okay, now it's you, Aerith, and Tifa and Aerith are doing this thing, and Barrett and Cloud. When you text him and you're like, which one do you want to play as?
Yeah, because we realized at one point it's like if you do a certain like thing, like so in the President Schumer, but if you go up the stairs, people were like talking about, oh, you get this line where like he runs out of breath because you're running up all the stairs, and then it's like, but I went up the elevator and all you do is you get like 2 cutscenes where like people come in and you're just like acting like, oh, you scare one lady.
So the Shinra, from the Shinra building on, I think is what makes this game my favorite game, like one of my favorite games of all time.
Wow.
Like it
to me, there's one point before that like really like stuck with me like so much. The plate falling.
Yes. The plate
that was so emotional.
Right.
Like
I actually think I'm gonna be honest. I mean, the whole game is really amazing. But in the Shinra building, there's an option where you have to run up these stairs, or you can go in the elevator, and basically there's a line of dialogue, and it's like, running up the stairs will be a little less inconspicuous. And I was like, well, I'll do that, and I'm sure there'll be a cutscene there, like to run up 65 floors of stairs. No, the game literally makes you run up 65 flights of stairs.
It's like Call of Duty Warzone, where you're like going up all the stairs to see
awesome. And like
where you can rappel.
My roommate and Maddie were watching, and like we're all laughing so much because it's like this game is literally like, you chose to run up the stairs, you're gonna run up the stairs. And like you're running up and everyone's like, all right, can we take a break? And like by the end, Cloud is like walking really slowly up the stairs because he's so tired. And then you get up and all 3 of you guys are like, and like just like sitting there for a moment, like no one's talking to each other. It's awesome.
The counter that people were like, man, these guys struggled getting up the stairs to going and fighting Sephiroth, the literal god.
All in one day, right? The fight with Rufus on the roof with his dog. Yeah. I did that fight the first time. I did it twice after I beat him. Beat him the first time without dying, but it was really annoyingly hard and like took a long time. Then
that's exactly how it did. It took me way long time.
It went to the next boss and it was like, well, I have to leave and I don't have enough time to fight this boss. Hopefully it auto saves. It did not. I had to start back at Rufus.
Ooh, that would.
Which I was like, God damn it! But then I went up.
Yeah, that would have been
the second time I fought him. I whooped his fucking ass.
But once you do the fight, yeah, like I did the exact same thing. Like I had to like keep dodging it for the longest time, and then once he was reloading, then I could like get in there. But it took forever. Like I had to build up like some stuff.
Great.
That was a bad point of the ATB gauge. Like I had to like keep waiting.
Yeah, that's why I realized if I block his moves, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So the end of the game, you're starting a new timeline now. Like you're literally going to change the course of the original game. Mm-hmm. The Zack thing. Did you get anything with Zack? Do you understand that?
Yeah, Zack. So Zack is from Crisis Core, and that Zack was basically Cloud's like mentor kind of guy. And Crisis Core, from what I heard, is a shit game. So sadly, but he died at the point where he was like getting out overrun by the enemy. He was supposed to die. He doesn't die, but he didn't die, which is like, so this is not only alternate timeline, but it changes the existing timeline. Is that like what people are trying to figure out if that's what's happening as well? Like,
James,
is history also?
Is this Back to the Future or is this Avengers Endgame?
Wait, that's exactly like, how does this work? Is because it would make sense because it's like interdimensional, I would say. Yeah. So it makes sense that you could probably alter the past, but then they still have the memories of their existing timeline
because Aerith's boyfriend is Zack.
Was Zack.
And that's why she likes Cloud, which is weird as shit now. Yeah.
It's weird that he didn't talk about that. Like, it's like how they... Because how does she not know his sword? Maybe she didn't know his sword.
Question for you, because I guess there's multiple scenes for a part of the game. Before you go and rescue Aerith, there is a scene in the grove of her house.
Yep.
Who was the character that talked to you? Yeah, so like I had a
before you leave, you're like when you go and confirm like Marlene's okay.
Yeah, and then you sleep the night, and Cloud like wakes up and he goes outside, and someone's like standing in the.
It was Barrett.
It was Barrett for you?
Yeah, I went to go talk to Barrett.
It was Aerith for me.
Whoa!
And there's a Tifa one too. What did Barrett do?
Yeah. I went up to him and talked with him, but I think we were just like
talking like bros.
Talking about like just talking about like, man, it's like I don't know if I want to do this. Or something.
Okay, because there's apparently the Tifa scene.
Yeah, I walked out and Barrett was just standing.
That's so funny. So it's Aerith for me. Apparently Tifa's also there. Aerith was you like go up to her and it's like a dream of Aerith, and you're talking to Aerith and she's like, you have to understand like you're gonna come and rescue me and like we're gonna basically like have to do this insane fight like with people like we're going to war.
That's basically the same thing with
and
Barrett,
then
like,
she goes, and Cloud, whatever you do, and it's like super heartbreaking, she goes, you cannot fall in love with me.
Whoa, yeah. I didn't know that. That's
like,
a big
she's
thing.
Like, you're gonna try and you cannot. And he goes, don't I get a choice in that? She goes, you won't. Or like, yeah. And it was like, because the fate thing, and I was like, holy shit. Because in the original Final Fantasy, she dies.
Yeah, she dies the original. She dies to end like a temple.
Yeah.
I was like researching but it was like she dies in the second disc of
Yes. And so there's a scene, this is where everything gets crazy, and I was reading so much about it today. There's a scene where you fight Sephiroth, before you fight Sephiroth, and maybe it's after. It's after you beat him, and it's just him and Cloud standing in like the beginning of eternity or whatever he says. And he goes, you only have 7 seconds, Cloud. You can do a lot in 7 seconds. Apparently, Aerith, there's like 7 seconds to save Aerith, and Cloud can't do it. Mm-hmm. So that's like what it's referring to, is like saving Aerith.
There's also a scene before where like Sephiroth like comes to Cloud, and he's like, you can't save anyone. Mm-hmm. And I was like referring to him not being able to save
Aerith. God, it's so fucking crazy.
There's so much foreshadowing in this game. It's like textbook, sort of like Final Fantasy in general, because that's all it is. But it's the elements and how it played out and what the potential is for the next game is really great. Crazy. They really set this up to be like, hey, we're making a Final Fantasy remake, but we're also building this as a series.
Well, and this is not like people thought like, hey, they're remaking Final Fantasy VII. This is basically the next Final Fantasy game. Like this is 16 essentially. I mean, it's not going to be called that.
Yeah, I think they're all in on this, which is great. I think people were talking about them revisiting old Final Fantasies and bringing them into the forefront because there's probably a lot more. People really love 8. 13 is also good.
10 people like.
Well, yeah, 10, yeah. So there's a lot of potential to do these kind of like revisits.
But I love what they're doing.
And then amplify that timeline, amplify that existing story.
They're changing the time. I think it's just like so cool. And not knowing that until like afterwards reading about, like, I was like, what the fuck happened in the end? And they're like, oh, that's what happened.
Oh yeah, because like people were like, man, you're gonna get so confused at the end. Because I was like, I didn't get any spoilers, but like people were like, oh, the ending people aren't gonna get if they haven't played the original. I'm like, no, it's like I still do, but like it made me go out and like find out.
Well,
more.
like I got it for what I thought was happening, and then I was like, oh, this must be what happens in the Final Fantasy VII game. Like this is how Final Fantasy VII plays out.
I knew that you weren't supposed to fight Sephiroth, so when we were fighting Sephiroth, I was like, okay, that's probably why.
So when Barrett died, that's like my first key of like, I didn't think he died. Like I've seen
Jesse did die though.
Yeah,
right?
Jesse dies, but Biggs didn't.
Okay, Biggs didn't die.
And then Wedge did.
I like Biggs.
They pushed Wedge out the window because Wedge wasn't supposed to make it that far. Fate killed Wedge.
No, you don't. Really?
Yeah.
I thought Fate saved Wedge.
No, I think Fate killed Wedge because Wedge's supposed to die.
Why am I thinking like, I wish he died.
I mean, he should have died.
Say like Wedge, but yeah, he's like survived way too much. But
I want to talk about maybe my personal favorite sequence of this entire game, which I know they really revamped, was the Honeybee Inn.
Honeybee Inn. That's.
I did not know. I knew that there was a scene where Cloud cross-dresses. And I knew that it was like back in the day, it was kind of homophobic and like transgendery, like
they spoiled it. I mean, it was like pixel, like you know, it was like
it wasn't great. But what they do in this game and how not only cross-dressing Cloud, but the fact that this game turns into DDR for a minute, and it is a rhythm game and this amazing dance sequence. That whole sequence, that's like when I was like, oh, this game is not just great, this game is amazing.
I was telling you, Yakuza does the exact same thing. Like, there's like, you go to a karaoke and you have like that whole like type of kind of scene. You have like really hardcore Yakuza dudes like going around like you dressed up awesome. And do. So I was like, this is a really stereotypical Japanese thing going on, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I loved it.
So,
and then of course, then you go to the Dawn's house and like,
and he picks.
And I knew that. Like we're watching the scene. I was like, he's totally gonna pick Cloud. Like, and that's the first time that you play as someone other than Cloud. You just play as Tifa and Aerith, and I thought that was really cool. I really liked the friendship that Tifa and Aerith had, like that built in.
But that's because they're both nice. They're both genuine.
Yeah.
Like, and Aerith's really like a nice like. They Cloud wouldn't even have gone if it wasn't for Aerith. Again, why Aerith is better. No, but yeah, I feel like the game really gravitated more towards Aerith through the whole time. Like you didn't get very much like anything with Tifa, like with a lot of her backstory.
No,
Aerith is like a very much the center point
I think
of
so.
the like saving Aerith. Yeah. She's an ancient. What did they do? What kind of experimentation? Like where she lives, like all that stuff. Like it's just so much about her. But I think it's great because like she's like everyone has like their quirky, like, there's like stuff to hate, but I felt like it was a little bit. She was like the most likable out of all the girls.
Yeah.
Tifa for me, sadly, like she didn't do much like story wise.
Yeah, I started to really like.
She was there, but it was like she didn't get enough screen time for me.
Yeah, I started to really like her.
She needed more
and
backstory.
Cloud's friendship towards the end of the game. Like Shinra building on was like, okay, this is like I like their relationship a little bit more. And then I think she has the great line where she catches Cloud on like the rooftop, and like her line of like,
"Oh, okay, yeah,
if you're gonna be the hero, you gotta do better than
this."
And I was like, I love that line. It's just like such like finally she's snarky back to him. But now I want to talk to you. Obviously, our boy Barrett.
Barrett is the best character in this game by far. It's not Cloud.
Oh my god,
it's not Sephiroth either.
No, Sephiroth was weird.
It's Barrett.
Barrett's story with his daughter Marlene was awesome.
I wanted that to be its own thing. I wanted that to get, it needs a Last of Us kind of treatment.
Yeah.
Like sort of Barrett and Marlene.
Barrett and Marlene. He's got to take Marlene across the country.
Yes, there's something there. Like they need to do like a prequel to this game with just Barrett and Marlene and like how did he get there? Like what was it like?
It reminded me
like how did he become an eco-terrorist?
It reminded me a lot of like The Rock and Fast and the Furious, where he's like constantly looks at his daughter and he's like, "Dad has got to go to work," and like I just felt like that with Barrett a lot, and it was so like
Marlene.
Yeah, Marlene.
I loved it.
It's great.
I love it so much, and it's like, so when the plate fell, that was so emotional because like after it, you go find Barrett, and like Barrett thinks like Marlene's dead. Like it's like, and he is like ready to rip someone apart. And there's a.
You say because you're gonna say the same thing.
Well, there's a point in this game where he's like goes against the wall, and he's just like punching the wall, like just over and over again, and like I felt like I was just like, man,
I love when he's punching the wall and he like it's hurting him, and he just like keeps punching slowly.
Like, he's just like, he's like, it's like, how did this end up like this? Like, and then because at that point you're going to like save Wedge, but it's just like,
I know, that was a weird part.
Like, you go, because you're talking about like one of the. I feel like that was for me that was like a really pinnacle part in the game because you're climbing up the tower where they're about to drop the plate. Like they're setting you up. They're like,
that's my dude. I love that line where the Shinra helicopter's there, and like you're like, oh my god, they're gonna kill these people, and then they go avalanche. We know you're trying to drop the plate, and we are going to stop you. And I was like, oh my god, they made it happen so like they win either way. Like that's such good writing.
And it's but then there's also that point where Wedge does have one good point in this game where he convinces those guards to like let the people leave. That was actually a good point. But when you go up to the top of the tower and like. You win, but then you lose, and it's just like, and then you have to basically like you escape, but you have to watch all the devastation from what happened, and like for like cause like you're with Barrett, and like you at first your relationship with Barrett is ass, like at the very start of the game it's ass, like he's like you're just a merc, and then it's like I think back on it, it's like wow, you like really just became attached to Barrett and like tried to save it, and like that whole story with
Marlene, and
then how he. Then like after he's like okay, I'm gonna go help you save Aerith. Like I'm gonna like he doesn't know her. He's like I don't know her. Who is she? She took my daughter. Like
Well, I love the scene where he's talking to Cloud before they know Marlene's at Aerith's house, and he's like, Cloud, can't you just tell me that like my daughter's okay?
Oh yeah, he's like I need this, Cloud.
Yeah, he's like I need this. And Cloud goes, I can't give you that. And he goes, I need this. I won't even be mad if it's not true.
Yes,
and
Cloud that is
goes,
a very good.
He goes, I can't give you that. And Barrett goes, good, because he goes, I probably would have kicked your ass if it wasn't true. And I was like, God, he's such a good character. Like the back and forth between him and Cloud is great. Like you feel like they're bros at the end. Like, when you're on that motorcycle at the end.
Even at the very ending scene where like Barrett is like thinking about like he's thinking about Marlene, he's thinking about like going home, but he knows he needs to get rid of Sephiroth because he cares more about the planet than his daughter, which is he cares more about like he wants a planet for his daughter. That's what I'd say. That's all he's thinking about. He's like, what's the point? Like if I go back to my daughter right now, if Sephiroth's gonna like destroy the whole planet. So.
Yeah, and I love
and that was a big thing because it's like, oh, Aerith's like, hey, Shenmue's not the enemy. There's a bigger enemy.
Yep. Which is cool. Yeah. Huge fan of the constant playing with like Cloud seeing Sephiroth. And knowing too that like there is going to be a scene where Cloud thinks he's seeing Sephiroth and someone else reacts to Sephiroth being there, and that scene was so cool. Of like, you know, he's freaking out when they're in front of Jenova, and he's like,
Jenova is a great. That's a great thing that happened. Like that fight and that sequence, that Jenova's mother.
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
Which I didn't do too much research on that, but I'm guessing it's because you're both tested on.
So yeah, Jenova's like this. Jenova's the main bad guy of 7 that like Sephiroth's trying to help bring back together to like take over the planet or some shit.
That's Jenova.
And I think that like there's something to do with soldier testing that makes them like linked to Jenova. The only thing that I don't think a lot of people have answers on is who the people in the cloaks are that like disguise themselves as Sephiroth. Or
so I was trying to figure out, like, because at the very beginning of the game, you like are next to someone who's cloaked. He's a cloaked person. It's like, oh, don't worry about that guy. And it's like people see him. They know he's that guy. It's like, what is that?
And there was no... They didn't come back
but
to
they're test subjects, so I think they have, like, numbers on them. So
yeah, they had numbers like Red 13.
I don't know if they're, like, Mako test subjects, like reject.
No.
Possibly, like, some rejects. So, like, you remember you go into, like...
Yeah.
Where, like, Wedge is, and there's, like, a bunch of, like, testing.
And Cloud has a vision of him in the cage, which is interesting.
Yep. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. But the thing Oh, shoot, where I was going with this. I had something I was going to say. Oh, but I love that scene where Sephiroth, like, shows up for the first time and Cloud, like, looks at him. And Tifa reacts and everybody else reacts. And then he goes, like, please, like, tell me, are you really there? And it's, like, Cloud, like, desperately, like, trying to find his identity in someone else. And then slowly finding it in, like, his friends rather than Sephiroth. And that final sequence of all of them having their anime team moment of, like, fighting the Whisperers as Cloud runs up to, like, fight Sephiroth. And he's, like, bouncing off all that shit was so cool.
That was a
like,
very good
fight.
This
is the best anime I've ever watched, man. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, when like Sephiroth, that one, God, I keep forgetting, I don't know his name, but the guy with like the mohawk kind of, he's like the big chubby guy who's at Shinra, who like sees him in the hallway as he's having his tea.
That was like an underwhelming villain, but yeah.
Yeah, I was like, why? Like, I was like, okay, they knew about him. He's like, oh, I swear I saw him, but like they wrote him off.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, you guys have like cameras? It's like, what? That why is that there?
Yeah, that was weird. I actually didn't like all that build up because I wanted the like Sephiroth being there to be a surprise, like for us to genuinely like freak out of like, oh my god, he's actually here this time. And I felt like they undercut that a little bit.
Once you're at like Jenova,
yeah, that's when you for sure first saw him.
And you only get like screen time with Hojo out of all like the board guys. Like it's Hojo and the mayor.
I gotta guess the board's coming back.
Yeah, because I really wanted to like figure out what that materia like chick was. Or
yeah, and fucking Hojo was weird as shit.
Hojo was weird, but he's really well acted. Like in terms of like being like a crazy
wacky anime villain.
What'd you think of Red 13?
Red 13 was really freaking cool.
Yeah,
it was so fun to like play this with. I mean, obviously, I don't know much about Final Fantasy VII. I didn't even know that Red 13 was a character. And okay, sorry, we'll jump to Red 13 in a minute. The little cat person that drops.
Oh yeah,
that's a main character in Final Fantasy VII that never came back in this remake, but they like showed a glimpse of.
Yeah, they showed that cat person thing, and I was like, I thought that was going to play a role.
So I was like, I think that's like an Easter egg for what's to come. But I don't know much about it. But Red 13 I thought was a really cool character, especially the fact that like everyone was like, oh my god, that's another boss you're gonna have to fight. And then like he like comes up and I looked at my Maddie that was talking and I was like, Maddie, that thing's a good guy. And then like I was like, oh my god, it's gonna talk. And then it talked and I was like, this is awesome. And I like actually his relationship with Barrett a lot. When like he did the joke of like the smile joke, he's like, you should smile more, Red. And then like he smiles and he goes, put it back. It's like it's a good joke. Yeah, I really liked Red 13.
They worked well too. Speaking of like just Shinra in general, like there was like certain things they're doing, and it was always questioned like why would Shinra drop a plate? Like why would they do all this? Like why would they like attack themselves selves and like set themselves blow up their own reactors? And then once you get to the Shinra building, you realize like, oh, their goal is a Neo Midgar. Yes. Like they really don't give a shit about the current Midgar. They want something better. They want this ancient promised land, which is like that for me. Like okay, like good that closed that door because I was like what the fuck is the point of
that whole sequence too? of like you're standing in that room, the like hollow room, and it's like flying you around everything and really giving you like a ton of exposition, but like in a really unique way. Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, the VR.
Yeah, the VR room.
Hollow with the VR battle sim.
Yeah, what did you think of all the Chadley stuff? Because this is...
It's great. Like, I like the stuff that you can unlock, and then you can, like, get more, the materia where you can get...
Summons,
that's it, yeah. The summon materia. Like, a free... I did not get the Chocobo one. And I don't know if you can get the Leviathan one.
You can get the Leviathan one. You have to get all 16 of the battle intels, and then you can fight Leviathan.
Got it. Yeah. That one would have been sick, because I've actually seen some of that from the original.
Yeah.
As a wake. But Ifrit was great, and then Shiva was the other one.
And then did you have the Chocobo with like the little Moogle guy on top?
I didn't have the Chocobo. I did some of the Moogle stuff, but I didn't get the Chocobo.
Okay, because you can find a summon. It's a DLC that they actually like you download it basically if you pre-ordered the game, and then you can find it when you.
I didn't pre-order.
Oh, you didn't pre-order. Okay. It was like a pre-order bonus for free, but there's a materia or a summon that you can find in the mission when you're like scaling to go to the second reactor and you're like in the rafters of the plate. There's a materia that you can find that gives you a summon, so you can like actually like find a summon out in the world. Oh. It's the only summon that you can find. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, but I did like that you could like do like the battle scenarios in your battle sim, and that was also fun.
Yeah.
There's like little competition you like do like 5 in a row or something like that, and it's just some of the enemies are great. It's like, oh man, this is great to fight this enemy, and then some of them are like, oh man, it's so annoying fighting.
Did you do any of the tournament stuff after you fought the Hell House, which is just amazing, by the way?
The Hell House, that was like for me, that was a turning point in the game, because at first I was just going along, I was like, yeah, I'm just fighting. The Hell House, I had to actually really try. Like it was like the toughest fight by far. When I think back on it, it's like the toughest fight. And then after that, I was like, man, I have to really be on my game because these fights are gonna get even tougher.
Yeah.
But I did not go back for the
because you can unlock I quickly alternate limit breaks.
You were telling me that you can get like buff limit breaks.
Yeah, like level 2 limit breaks, and they do entirely different things.
I had different limit breaks for Aerith. That was the only one.
Oh, okay.
Because you can get materia to like give you different.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's like it unlocks this limit break.
Oh, that's
I forgot
cool.
What it was like refocus.
Oh yeah, refocus. Where you get like 3 bars instead of 2. Yeah, yes. That one's really good.
But I used healing with like
that
one was way too good.
Doesn't heal her though, which I didn't like.
Yeah, I don't like. But it was like
whatever.
For most time, it was like I just care about the party, which at that point you'd use like the mod the one that like magnifies with heal.
Oh, I didn't think about that. So you can magnify heal so it affects 2 people.
Yes.
Motherfucker.
That's what you do.
My battle.
So there's 2 things I would magnify. Magnify with poison, which is fucking great for like mobs, because it can hit 3, and then magnify with heal, which hits almost everyone.
That's genius.
Yeah, it is so broken. It's such a great little like.
Oh my god, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so when you play hard mode, you need magnify for a lot of stuff, and magnify like barrier, like there's like great.
I didn't even realize that.
But the poison was so great because I could just basically like put dots on every single person and.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Go.
Huh. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, so there's little edicts with the link stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's other stuff too. There's like luck stuff. I never really understood the luck. I don't know if that like did crit or steal. I never used steal.
I used steal once to get a weapon.
Oh, like you keep it?
There's one weapon you can steal off a boss. It's off the ghost section.
Yeah, the chariot one.
Yeah, the chariot guy. The chariot guy.
Okay.
Apparently, he's like a random spawn in the original Final Fantasy VII. They made him a boss in this game, but everybody you could steal the weapon off of him in the original Final Fantasy VII. So they made him a boss, and when you assess him, it says like steal the bladed staff or whatever. And I was like, okay, I gotta steal that. Because I wanted every weapon. Yeah, God, I love this fucking game, James. Holy shit. I'm so excited to play more.
Yeah, thinking back on it, it's like a journey.
Yeah.
And
it really is.
I'm definitely excited.
Yes.
But yeah, I think we've hit on almost every point. What are your hopes for the next game?
Well, I think I'm gonna play Final Fantasy VII on Switch. I think I'm gonna dive into that. Just so I know like what originally happens. Obviously, from what I've heard, the game becomes open world for once you leave Midgar in the original Final Fantasy VII. So I kind of be interested about like an open world kind of game. I hope it's not that, to be honest. Yeah. I hope it is linear like this. I really like the linearity of it.
I would have liked to be able to go back to certain
Yeah.
areas, but it did give you that option. But as the main focus was the
Yeah,
main
which
story.
I
There
loved.
wasn't a lot of sides, which it should have been. But I think they have to do some improvements. Like, you can't just do the same
No,
thing.
and I obviously
They
I
can do
hope we have more playable characters. I want to play as Red 13.
Yeah.
I want to see the other party members that come into this game that I can play off. And I'm really curious.
Well, you could have Zach.
Right? Like, what
would
are
be
they going to do with
fucking great.
Zach? Like, I wonder if you get more Midgar stuff with Zach, because obviously Midgar is such a cool location that they, built 30 hours into, and made me care about certain sectors and slums.
You never really did much with Wu Tai. Is like, I wonder if they're going to incorporate them.
Right? The other faction
at some point.
Yeah, and like the Dawn got away, so I'm curious like if they're going to come back to that, or they just like that plot line's wrapped up.
So what do you think about that? The guy who served the Dawn and his like fiance, like
Leslie, I liked that story.
Yeah, but just like he didn't do anything. He just like let his fiance go. Like he could have easily like I don't know. Like he fought too late.
I just thought like it was kind of cool. They gave these minor characters stories that made them rounded characters.
Yeah, they gave him some stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I understood his justification for helping you out, and I was like, that's cool. God, that scene where the Dawn picks Cloud is just so funny.
Yeah,
and he's like
Dawn
woofing at him.
That's a great character.
It was so gross. And the ending of this game is just epic. I mean, what was your favorite boss to fight? Just kind of curious. We'll wrap it up with a few minor things.
I was gonna like think about like in terms of difficulty with like having most fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know. Just finding Genova was like really great. The Genova theme is like really, it's like a big thing for me. Because after that, like a lot of the fights, they're good, but they're not too good. Like the Sephiroth fight was like okay. Like I felt it could have been like a little bit better.
Yeah, I thought
so
the cutscenes
best
interlaid
fight
with Sephiroth were really cool.
The Genova fight like felt like
pretty grand,
pretty good.
I really liked the Reno fight in the church. Like
I
just really liked that. I just thought it was a cool interactive fight. I thought the Airbuster fight. Is it Airbuster? What's the fight where you're taking pieces away from that boss? Was that Airbuster?
Oh, I love that fight. No, you're talking about that fight.
Yeah, where you're
great.
built and I like the idea of like taking equipment from him. I thought that was really cool.
You like can choose like okay, I don't want him to have these bombs, or I don't want him to have speed. I don't want that fight was
I thought
great.
that was like a really fun moment.
It was like you got to choose how to fight, but you fought like on like a railing, which is like kind of interesting.
Yeah, I didn't like the fight itself, but I really liked the build up to the fight of like we're taking away like stuff, and then we're also getting the equipment that we took away, which I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah,
I never used those
was
items.
fun.
Did you ever use like Molotov cocktails?
I used
and
them all.
stuff?
I used the bombs.
I always forgot
I took away all the bombs and I used them.
Forgot I had them.
Yeah, I never. But then after that, I never used like grenades all the time. Like it's like at one point it was like I gotta like use my ATB gauge wisely. So like at this point, like what am I gonna do? Am I gonna like revive someone? Am I gonna heal someone? Am I gonna put fire and put poison? For me, that was like a big thing. Like or heal. So like I'm always thinking about like what each character should be doing. And okay, and I didn't talk about it during our non-spoiler, but spoiler wise, what I didn't like, which was the AI could have been improved a little bit. But then I was like saying like how would I improve it? Because I want them to use their fucking triangle attacks, and they never fucking use them. And they're so powerful if Tifa would just use it every once in a while. But then I was like, on the flip side, maybe they didn't want them because then it'd be on cooldown.
Yep.
Like if you kept using overpower on Barrett, and then it's like you switch to them, and they're like, what the hell?
I think that's why they did it. They didn't want you.
So that was why they didn't do it. But come on, there has to be like some like
there was a few.
Sometimes they would heal though.
They have the auto cure material, which is really good. But there was a moment with like certain characters like. A boss would unleash like a mega attack, and they wouldn't like dodge. So like Eric's like sometimes right next to a boss, and I'm like, "Move! You're the healer. Get back!" And you are standing in front of the boss.
Yeah, so I'd always have. So when I figured out maximizing, like I always had to like go on and make sure they're freaking using their triangle, or like when someone gets staggered, it's like okay, you guys gotta be maximizing. Don't just free hit the square.
I know.
So like I always like tuned up everyone with like their abilities.
That's what I was doing, and I think that's what they wanted to encourage you to do. That's why they didn't make the AI so good.
But I feel like it could have been a little better. But I understand like how was it? The boss AI was amazing though. Like that worked.
Well, I think my favorite boss in this game was the Hell House.
Hell House was great. On like what you had to do to fight.
And the turning point for me was like I've known of the Hell House. Like my buddy used to talk about it all the time in college. But I knew of the Hell House, and the minute that it popped up, and I was like, oh, and I even texted you, I think right after, I was like, James, I just fought a fucking house in this game, and it was amazing. And it's like, how did they make this fight awesome? It's so stupid. It's a house.
You're fighting a house.
You're fighting a house, and they made it cool.
But it's so tough, and you have to like. There's like cues, like when it's vulnerable to certain things, and it's like that's such a great thing for like a boss.
It was fun.
And then when I was like, I don't know what I was telling you, but I was like, it felt like Dark Souls fights, but at some point like it's like a trade off because Dark Souls like you can't roll all the time. This one you can roll all the time, but you can use your heal all the time. So this one is like you have to like. At some point, you're basically like a floating fit. You're trying to like survive and like make sure you can heal at certain points, and it had a great difficulty to it with like rewarding fights, like nothing except for that one fight, with not with Reno, but with the guy on the vice president.
Rufus.
Rufus.
I liked that fight, but it was just annoying.
At first when they introduced Rufus, because like. For me, I thought that was the ending, and the build-up was going to be, you're going to fight Sephiroth on top of this roof.
Yep,
it's going to be fucking great. And then this guy shows up, and I was like, fuck this guy. This is so annoying. Like, why am I fighting this guy?
Did you like his Seto Kaiba jacket?
It was like, why is this pop his ass, like, just shooting me with coins and a gun? And like, it was just like, get me to Sephiroth. And then, like, you drive away, and it's like, oh, come on.
I liked that whole driving
Could have been
sequence.
so
That
good.
was fun.
The
boss battle took a little too long, but it was like, yeah, whatever. It was fun. Yeah.
It's not like filling up time. It was like, interesting that they were trying to get away. Cloud on the bike. That's a shout out to Advent.
Dude, the scene, I think it's the only time in this game I went, yes, was when Barrett and Aerith are surrounded, and Heidegger comes in and he's like, take the girl but kill the idiot.
Heidegger.
And Barrett comes up and he's like, like Aerith, you saved my daughter. Now it's time for me to like save you. And like then you just hear the vroom, and I just went. Yes, and Cloud comes in and he's like knocking everybody off with his motorcycle. I was like, let's fucking go. Because I was like, why are there a bunch of motorcycles in this like museum room?
Yeah, when you enter the building, it was like Shinra Electric Company. They have a bunch of cars and stuff, and I was like,
that's like, all right.
I like how you learned about it.
I thought that was really cool. Explaining it.
Yeah, and then like you humanize with a lot of the workers there.
Yep.
That was interesting.
And let's just end it on the best line of the game. The mayor is the best. Yep.
The mayor,
God. So that was our Final Fantasy VII Remake spoiler talk. James, any final thoughts? I mean, we talked about it. We love this game in our review, but
like I said, like the one complaint I had was AI. Like it's so hard to like nitpick on this game, and to me, I knew it was gonna be good. I didn't know it was gonna be this good. I think that's both our opinions. Like we knew it was like, oh, this is gonna be good. We've seen some gameplay, it looked good, and it's so surprising because this was a game that when it first released, but the first like announcement of it. It was like, oh man, it's so great, they're gonna do it, and then everyone thought it was dead. It was like, nope, it's never gonna happen, and it just comes out with a fury, like it's coming. And everyone, it has a release date.
Really quick, before we
disbelief.
end this, the name of this game pissed off so many people. Remember when it was like Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they're like, they're lying, they're not telling you that it's just part one, blah blah blah.
Guys, it's only doing like certain parts, and I was like,
who cares? But the reason that they didn't name it part one is because the remake is not about like a remake of the game; it's about the timeline. Like, I think it's just super genius. Like, they hid.
No, there's a lot of just intricate storytelling that amplifies it to the next
level. The twist of this game is great.
Right. Yeah. Hiding the twist the whole time, which was present there the whole time, and then showing you at the end.
Really cool.
I just can't imagine what
I love it. I love this game so much. So, thank you so much for doing the spoiler talk with me, James. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Awesome.
And we'll see you next week.